Dr. Jazz.
Hey guys,
Dr.
Samo here.
Jazz.
Thanks for checking out the channel and its contents. And if you feel like it, please do subscribe. Thanks so much. Enjoy the video. Bye. How are you? All good?
Yeah, all good, apart from a head cold and the usual grief of being a musician.
Oh,
of
come on.
serious amount of hard work, of course, as I'm sure you know, being a musician yourself.
Yeah, well,
But a lot of work.
yeah. If it was just for playing, then it would be so much fun, man. But
Yeah, wouldn't
yeah,
it be easy if it was just the music?
yeah. Then you sit down and you have to send all these emails and stuff, and it's like ah. But it's the road we chose ourselves.
It's
So
the road we chose, yeah. But
I'm,
I've
I'm
I've been interested in telling people about it. I don't see
yes,
there's any harm at all in
absolutely.
telling our listeners, such as they are, what they're getting when they pay over here, £20 for a concert,
Yeah,
for some brilliant jazz musicians or whatever. It's a steal. It's a wonderful evening out.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a keen advocate of live performance, and that
Oh,
you and everybody listening should attend live performance.
yeah. Especially nowadays. I mean, I don't know how it's in the UK, but like in Europe, in Central Europe, it's getting worse, man. I mean, especially in Slovenia, sometimes like, ooh, damn, some great
Well,
musicians come and it's,
funnily enough, we've been doing quite well. I'm with a guitar
okay.
trio called Pete Roth
Yeah, yeah,
Trio.
sure. Yeah.
We've been doing quite well in Europe. Not too bad at all. Quite good concerts. 300 people in Helsinki is pretty good, we
Oh,
think.
that's amazing, man.
You,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's quite buoyant for us in Europe, but not in the United States.
Hmm. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I just hope that this whole, AI bullshit and all this stuff will actually benefit the musicians because people will be eager to actually see a player improvise
Yeah,
live on an instrument,
I hope so
And
too. But by the way, has
so
the interview started?
I guess, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know whether you turned us off or whether we're recording now.
Yeah, yeah, we're recording, so
Okay.
it's like a free improv. We just jumped in.
Great,
I
great.
played two notes and yeah,
Yeah. And I played two more, and then you played
ex
two more. Great.
exactly. Let's see. But now, Bill, I wanted to start this talk by being a guitarist, and Ralph Towner sadly passed away recently, and if Summer had its ghost, that was one of my favorite records and still is actually, and
Oh, how lovely.
it's just like that tune, Thistledown. I kept whistling that all the time, like dun dun da bum.
Yeah. It's
And
catchy, isn't it?
oh man, it's.
Good.
I wanted to start this talk with Ralph. And how did you decide? I found out about you through the jazz way, not, I guess, when usually people find out about you through Yes and the usual progressive
Uh-huh.
rock. But
Yeah.
for me, it was the other way around. I was like, man, I really love this drummer, and he's playing with Eddie Gomez and Ralph. And how did you decide for that project, actually, in your story with Ralph? Because
Well, I'm trying to think how it came about, or why did I do that? Um, well, the context really was at the time, drummers were releasing heavy fusion albums. I mean, a lot of muscle, a lot of power, a lot of unbelievable technical ability. However, I thought there's a gap in the market here, and what it is that I think you can be poetic on any instrument, including the drum set. Ask Paul Modian
Paul Motion, yeah, yeah,
or
sure.
ask Peter Erskine. You know, there's a sense of quietness, I think, that drummers can evince, they can evoke, which I really like. And I thought, maybe I could make an autumnal kind of feeling to an album. So it's not all power and grit and gristle and muscle,
Yeah.
but it's a more poetic kind of looking at things. And one of the things we did technically was I record the drums, really pretty quietly. I tried to play very quietly. I tried to play but record them quietly, but mix them loud in the mix. So there's a feeling of you're right there and on
Yep.
top of the cymbal,
Yep.
and you hear the stick right on the side. I like that.
Oh yeah.
And uh, we didn't get it all the time, and but I think the album came out pretty well, not too bad. And another thing I should tell you, or shouldn't tell you, is that those were first readings of the song.
Really? Oh man.
Now there may have been a couple of takes on each one, but they were idiosyncratic tunes. Like all my writing is a bit odd. I'm a drummer. I don't quite get it right, but then some things I really do like, and I do want them to do these things. But like I may have said somewhere before, and many other musicians, I was so terrified at having Ralph and Eddie having their attention for 4 or 5 days
Mm.
that I overwrote the music. So there's music all over the studio floors, music hanging up here, music
Oh
hanging up
really?
there,
Interesting.
and this wasn't an improv session really. I mean, there were some quite tricksy little things that had to happen. Plus, even more. You want more confessions?
Please.
More confessions. I didn't really know what's playable on a 12-string guitar and what isn't.
Well, it's Ralph, he's probably
He's pretty
the
good.
guy, yeah, who could
Yeah.
could do anything almost.
But we would tend to get two or three, 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through a take, and there would be a whole blinding lot of cursing from Ralph because the guitar had gone out of tune. We'd be 4 minutes into a 6-minute song, and the guitar had gone out of tune. Oh no!
Shit. How did you find out about Ralph actually? I mean, I know you played with Kenny Wheeler before, and with many guys, I guess Ralph played also, and you had common players, but
Well, sometimes there are powerful moments with other musicians, and you think that is just a wonderful thing that that man is doing, or that sound that he's producing, or whatever. It could be a drum, it could be any musician. And I always have my ears open for interesting sounds and people. And I remember a weather report track. I can't remember what it's called now. The
oh yeah, I
Moors,
can
maybe.
oh yeah, I can
The
hear
first
your
time
body sing electric, something like
I
that. Yeah,
sing the Body Electric,
electric, exactly. Yeah.
which is a great album title.
Yes.
And on that, there's a song called The Moors, I think, and there was Ralph's silvery shards of 12 string, unaccompanied 12 string, just sounded beautiful. I thought, well, whatever that is, whoever that is, one day, So 20 years pass like they do, and suddenly you think, God, I really love to do this autumnal album. And what better sound than that 12 string? And
Mm.
his 6 string, of course, as well. And Ralph knew Eddie and suggested Eddie, I think.
Okay.
And so that's how it came together.
Yeah. Such a beautiful record. Did you guys play concerts also with that trio, or
We did
just
not.
we
We
you
did
didn't?
not.
Oh
It,
well,
it,
it's a
it
shame.
would have been nice, but Ralph's schedule was exhausting.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, getting those guys to rehearse a little bit or come to England and so forth is not always easy.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. The curse of band leading, I guess.
Yeah,
It's a fun one. No, it's
yeah.
nice. Speaking about compositions, like how do you usually write? Like, I mean, it depends obviously on the project. I have so many records by you as a band leader, and it's like you said, it's many times complicated. Yet this record has such beautiful melodies. Like, especially, let's say for this project, did you know you're gonna have Ralph and Eddie? And what's the process with writing?
Yes. Yes. I mean, there's never a clear demarker about, I know I've got Ralph today. I'm going to write that today. I'm not like that. I just go on and on and on. And I have some music that probably was intended for somebody else, but could be repurposed for Ralph and Eddie very well.
Mm,
I had some tunes in my head that I thought they'd like, but they might laugh at. All those humiliating things that all composers probably have. But I should say that, to be fair, I really don't consider myself a composer
really?
with
How
with
come?
quite that rather erudite and elegant term. A composer sounds like a very important person, and my head comes from the idea of having to have some music for the guys I want to play with to play. If you're going to invite 4 or 5 people around your house to come and play, and they're some of your
Yeah,
favorite players, you need to have something for them, I think.
yeah, yeah. Interesting. Because you've written so much music, right? still.
I suppose
I mean,
so. I suppose so. You know, I started in the rock days by just contributing
yeah,
to whatever ensemble I was in, and people would say, and I'd say things like, "Well, he could do that, but why don't we do this?" You know, from the rhythmic point of view, and then pretty soon I'm suggesting a bass line. You know, a solo musician is composing as he thinks on his feet,
yeah,
and that is a huge skill.
yeah,
And having big ears and being able to collaborate with others is live on a spur of the moment
exactly.
now is really exciting. And I've done everything, I think, really, from concerts that are completely improvised, where when you walk to the drum stool, um, you know, in advance of an hour and 20 minutes worth of music, and you have with your partner prepared absolutely nothing for that concert. It is that that is a scary moment.
It is, yeah,
And time goes real fast.
yeah. Well, it's a nice one, right? It can go. It can be tense, but it can be so beautiful. I've done so many of these.
Yes, you can
Such a
reach
beautiful.
places that you couldn't reach any other way.
Yeah,
If you could write the stuff that you come up with, then there wouldn't be any point in improvising it.
exactly. Yeah,
So you try to improvise something that you wouldn't or couldn't have written,
yeah.
which is lovely.
Did you do a lot of these? Let's say in the 70s, mid 70s, late 70s. I mean, you were busy also in the rock world, but whatever we want to call it. But like in the UK, there's such a strong improvised scene, right? Like in the 70s, we're talking from Kenny Wheeler, Derek Bailey, Evan Parker, all these guys playing
Yeah,
improvised music, John Stevens, Instantaneous Music
indeed,
Ensemble. Did you also
indeed.
participate with those players a bit?
I didn't. I
You
didn't. I
didn't.
listened. I went to gigs. I was too young,
Okay.
really. And, well, not too young, but I was busy with rock. I thought I was a rock guy. I was being told I was a rock guy. You know, I was behaving like a rock star. I mean, I didn't really understand anything about this at all. Um, but somewhere around the mid 80s, you know, I really did feel that jazz in its many forms was the place I should be.
Mm, yeah.
And one of its many forms was having duets with Patrick Moraz, keyboard player, and or Michael Borchlap, very
Yeah.
good
Sure.
Dutch keyboard player. And we would improvise. Michael and I had whole tours that were improvised, basically.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
lovely.
It's a nice thing, probably, right, for you, spending time in this quite densely organized music with the prog rock bands, and then
Yeah,
going into jazz. That must have been very liberating in a way.
it was very liberating and very essential because I don't think I can live in one milieu or the other all the time. It's funny how if you're in a guitar band for a while, all you're dying to hear is a saxophone player. And when you're in a saxophone band, all you want to do is hear a guitar player. And I'm afraid I'm one of those guys. If it's rigidly scripted music, I'm struggling a bit.
Mm,
And in the current band, I mean, we have a good halfway, you know, territory where we're all comfortable, semi-scripted, semi-loose, semi-written. We're
that's
happy with
important.
that, I think.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about "Feels Good to Me." I wrote to you. I'm a huge Allan Holdsworth fan, and I mean, as I guess as
Yeah.
every guitarist probably almost is, and uh, you know, listen today to that record and some back to the beginning, that guitar solo there. It's just like, dude, like,
Lovely, isn't it?
oh man, like,
Mm.
how did you decide to do that record? You becoming a band leader, presenting music to the guys, and then your story with Alan also. How did all that go? I mean, if you
Well,
can
very
talk a
much the
little bit
same as
about.
Ralph and Eddie. You know, you're in a certain place, a certain time. There is in your world, perhaps three or four guys who are your friends, and you're saying, well, could we do this? Shall we do that? Dave Stewart, could you come out of National Health maybe and play in my band that I'm going to form? Because I'd like to lead a band. I think I have, and this was around the time I'd just been with Genesis for a year in 76, I think.
Mm,
And I left that because I knew I was on my way. You know, I was ready. I was ready to start trying to collaborate with others, I think. And taking one step further back, really, what I'm all about is trying to contribute something. I think probably what we're all about is trying to contribute something that maybe wasn't done yesterday or So I'm interested in drumming today, but I'm also very interested in what's drumming going to be like tomorrow.
Mm.
So I'm looking to form organizations in which I can bring that about. So obviously I'm going to create some kind of music that can allow that to happen, possibly.
Yeah.
And Earthworks would be a good example of that. Here's electronics. Okay, the electronics have been around for a bit. What are we going to do with them? Is there
Yep.
some way they could be used in jazz at all? Or is that simply a toy for Depeche Mode or something?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't know the answers, but I thought somebody ought to do the dirty work and find out. So that was what Earthworks was about.
Yeah, and especially the
But
80s, the loose tubes scene and all those guys were so creative.
yeah,
And yeah,
but finding that particular group with Jeff Berlin and Allan Holdsworth and Annette Peacock and Dave Stewart. So Dave Stewart came from National Health. I've been hanging around with him. I've been hanging around with Patrick Moraz. He said, I've just finished an album and it's got this incredible bass player on called Jeff Berlin, who was a very young man at the time.
yeah.
I said, where's he then? And he said, well, he lives on Long Island. Where's Long Island? I said, I'm in England, right? But I did get on a plane and I went and said, would you like to be in a band?
Wow.
Which is a long shot, a long risk, actually. But he was just such a player. It was just incredible. And to this day, I think his solo on Palewell Park, which was a slow piece on perhaps Gradually Going Tornado, one of my albums, something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Palewell Park is just a little work of art, And if I can get three or four songs on an album, or play 3 or 4 songs, or write 3 or 4 songs that absolutely encapsulate for me, no matter you or anybody else, but for me, encapsulate a step forward or something I've not heard before, or something that is just crystalline in its beauty, like that solo is, then I'm a happy man. You
Yeah,
see what I mean? It can
yeah,
take an awful lot of sweat to do that, a lot of expense sometimes to do that, a lot of grief. But if at the end of every album you can look back and say, oh, that was worth it, then I think all the grief sort of fades away.
yeah, yeah. In the end, we do it for ourselves, right? The band leading stuff, and I mean, we do it for the audience as well. But you do it because you want to do it as a
Oh, indeed,
musician,
indeed.
right? I mean, that's
Yes. And there is another kind of individual who does it because he or she thinks the audience would like it.
yeah,
Now, I counsel against that. I think that's a big mistake.
yeah,
Because if I try to guess what you like, the problem is that if I miss, you hate it, and I don't like it either anyway. So we're both in, excuse me, shit creek.
yeah, absolutely.
But if I do what I like, I think there's every chance that I can get on the stage and be persuasive with that material and show you that these people that I'm with are completely committed to this idea. And when you can transmit that kind of commitment to music, it sells itself.
Yeah,
People love our concerts with Pete Rock Trio because we're obviously enjoying ourselves. We obviously want to be there. We're obviously completely engaged in the music. And you don't have to worry about anything else. Everything else will work out fine. That transmits itself.
yeah, yeah. It's nice to see also when from the audience, when you see musicians smile, because well, it's true, like in the jazz realm, many times like it's these dark faces on stage and
Oh,
like they're
yeah.
glowing and everyone is like, it's like, come on, people, like,
Yeah.
are you having fun at all? Or I mean,
Listen up.
yeah, it's just really, or
Yeah,
say yeah or something, or I
yes.
don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I agree. I think, and it doesn't take much. You've only got to smile once in a while, or catch somebody else's eye on the stage.
yeah,
And the audiences see all that stuff. But
absolutely.
some musicians, I think, are terrible performers. And performance is important. I don't think any good music can survive a terrible performance.
Yep.
I think some very modest music can, if it's very well performed, can go a long way, conversely. So yeah, let's perform it. Let's perform it properly with conviction. With conviction.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people say, "Oh, come and be a rock drummer again," and I go, "I can't do that. You don't understand. I can't do that. Why? Because I am not convinced. I'm not convinced by this music. I can play act it for you to a degree if you want, but I can't do that. You know, that thing. Nights, C white, satin, whatever, da, da, da. You know,
Yeah.
I can't do that repetition. I absolutely can't do it anymore. I wasn't very good at it when I was younger, but now I need the um, the wide sonics and timbres available in jazz. You know, I need the ability to swap between things.
Yeah.
I get bored quickly, maybe.
Yeah. Jazz allows you to, yeah, to loosen up a bit. I'll put it like that, maybe, or be more relaxed in a way. You can be like in the moment creative. Even though when I listen to the Yes stuff in King Crimson,
Yeah.
it sounds very like you sound like a jazz drummer playing
Look at you.
non-jazz.
You know I'm a jazz drummer, so
No, no, but yeah, I know now. But you know what I mean? It's like it's not.
yeah, it's not.
It's not
It's coming from a different place. I agree.
perspective. Yeah, exactly.
And it used to be that I irritated my colleagues a fair bit, I think, by trying to play, close to the edge differently every night,
Ah,
which
okay,
was not always appreciated.
interesting.
And it's like trying to play Mahler's Fifth differently. I'm not sure you can. It is what it is,
Yes. Yeah.
and the finger must go to the right note at that second.
Yeah.
But the other thing that jazz allows me to do is develop my vocabulary. So, something part of the problem with rock drumming is that it comes at you rather flat with a very loud dynamic, and it comes at you like this, and it never really stops until it stops. Then it starts again, and it keeps going a bit like this, and it's always the same dynamic. I can't,
Yeah.
I need some dynamic variation. I need some difference in the sibilance, in the sound. I need, okay, I've been on the metals for a while. Let's play the drums, okay, play the drums a bit. You know what I mean? I need that freedom.
Yeah. Interesting.
Rock
Yeah.
is
Yeah. But if you look now back with these thoughts, let's say, and your mindset and your experience back, let's say, to albums like Fragile and Red and whatever, tons of stuff which everyone loves. What's your view on your drumming, especially on those records? I mean, you must be still proud in a way. I mean, you were very young, but what's your perspective on those
yeah,
as a drummer?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
No problem at all. I was very young, and my technical skills were, shall we say, modest. Although in the era, I suppose, and having come from jazz, I knew about, Max, I knew Elvin, and I knew, Joe and all those guys. And I knew their work, and I wanted to get some of that into Yes, of course, because it was half of it was me, and or a bit of it was me, and I wanted to get that across, although it wasn't jazz per se. But the approach was jazz.
Yeah.
The approach was you can also, another thing in performance, and Tony Levin does this really well too, is to give people a feeling it's the first time you've ever played that bass line.
Yeah.
Or that drum part, that you're inventing it right there that night for you. It's a funny thing, even though you played it 60 times before. And I think I have an element of that in my playing,
Yeah.
that nobody's quite sure, including me, what I'm going to do next. Excuse me.
But that's the beauty of it, right? I mean, that's so great that you can do that.
Well, I think it's attractive to a listener.
Yeah.
And I think you need to carry the listener with you and occasionally shock them and surprise them and all those good things that any performing artist does.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Without which I'm not going to be very interested in the performance I'm watching on stage.
Yeah. 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 I've seen many times trios, like superstar trios, like when three big names come, and it's every time the same, like, a head guitar solo, which is amazing, an amazing bass solo, a drum solo, and then tune three, it's the same. I'm like, shit, I need a beer already. I mean, it's great playing and everything. It's just like the storyline. It's like reading a novel, which is not going anywhere. It's good language, but like, nah. So
Yeah, you
yeah,
need a beer.
you need a
I
beer then,
agree.
yeah. The
Yeah,
element of surprise or something just
yeah,
struck
yes.
me. So that's so important, yeah.
It really is. I've always tried to have that with the young musicians I've hired in groups. And I'm not quite sure whether my employees or the people I'm working with are going to work out. I mean, how do I know whether in Earthworks, for example, Django Bates,
Yeah, and Ian,
great
yeah,
young keyboard player, Ian
yeah,
Ballamy,
yeah, I
you know,
love
I
those
don't know
guys.
whether guys are going to work out together or not. And how much should I control that or not control it or stand back, you know? Basically with early earthworks, I used to say, well, you know, I have this confection, these percussive confections on a drum kit here. I'm going to do this, and you guys play what you want. I don't care if you play bebop or whatever you want, you know. And they were very happy with that, I think,
Yeah.
because sure as hell it made them sound different. See what I mean?
So you
And reach
were
for different things on their own instruments.
you were very liberal as a band leader when you started Earthworks, in a sense, because
I
there are also tunes by Ian and Django, like on that '87 record. So you kind of, how did that happen actually in finding those guys? Like, because, like I said, Loose Tubes was beginning to grow, and mid '80s, that generation of UK players is amazing. Like, I think,
some lovely players, lovely players.
yeah,
Well, you know, again, I have my ear to the ground like musicians do. You know, I'm kind of thinking, oh, this is an interesting development. And look at British jazz on national TV. British jazz on national TV. Who knew? Um, and two of the stars of that were Django Bates and Ian Ballamy. But here's the thing: I went to see them play in a small club, and the relationship between the two was greater than the sum of the parts. So Django was good, Ian was terrific, but the two of them together like that were a whole thing. And I
yeah,
thought if I could play my drums behind that thing, and if they could do that on top of me, that would be fantastic, you know? And so that's the way I would form a group. Is there something that's making me get excited? Because again, like I said earlier, if I can get excited, then I can excite you. But
absolutely,
without me being excited, there's no chance of getting you excited.
yeah, yeah. Uh, can we just return to that one of a kind and feels good to me? Like, uh, how was the music process and the composition process? Did you give like lead sheets to those guys and
Yep. Some lead sheets, some stuff was on early kind of even rehearsal room cassette tapes with Dave Stewart. Now I've always tried to find a writing partner,
okay,
and so around that time that would have been Dave Stewart. And Dave didn't live far from me at all. He was just down the road kind of thing. And what did we do? He came over to my place a lot. I had things that, you know, that were rhythmically astute or rhythmically interesting. I had a particular approach of some sort. And he could put, you know, he could put richer harmonic flesh on a rhythmic skeleton and bring it to life, you know. So that was, he could take it further harmonically than I could. But pretty soon I learned a fair bit, and then I'm on the early days of digital recording equipment, home digital audio workstation type of thing. I did a fair bit on that. But as I said earlier, I think it was really out of necessity
mm-hmm.
than because I have music pouring out of me. I don't feel like I am one of those people that has music pouring out of them. You know what I mean? Some
I know
guys,
some people compose every day, yeah,
yeah.
and
Do you know
yeah,
Tim
sure,
Garland, the
of
saxophone
course,
player?
yeah, I love him, yeah,
Can play anything, write anything, anytime.
absolutely,
He says, "So you want me to do a symphony by Friday? Okay, well, I'll do something else on Wednesday, and I'll give it to
actually
you.
true,
I'll
yeah,
I'll do it on Thursday, and you can have it on Friday." How about that? You see, I don't have those kind of. That's why I'm saying I'm not a composer. I don't have those kind of technical chops. or ideas, unlike Willem Simcock, for example.
Oh, sure.
Fantastic ideas.
Oh, yeah.
But I am a good collaborator, I think. I think I can work with Tim, Gwyl, Django, Ian Bellamy, Michael Boschlap, and so forth. And I feel I can come up with something that will make everything better. And if I can't, then I'm perfectly happy to be silent.
Yeah.
Which is also okay.
It's so important.
So I'm not, again, the skill of so many musicians. I was just looking in preparation for this, your lovely interview with Steve Smith, drummer.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And Steve has this fantastic technical ability, which he can adapt for, as he was saying, 4 or 6 weeks straight at Bottom Line or Bitter End or wherever he's playing in New York. And I don't really have that. I don't have that. I'm not a trained musician, so I don't have that technical skill level. Were I trained, I'd be a different guy, and my repertoire would be completely different. But I had to, I have to scrabble around on the floor and find bits of ideas, that I rejected this and I rejected that. But together these could maybe work. I have to think pretty hard to get some output. I'm not a Tim Garland in that respect.
Yeah, but still the melodies come to you. You've written beautiful melodies, and somehow
I've had some lovely melodies, I think, and even a few lyrics for Annette Peacock.
Yeah. Oh,
But,
yeah, exactly. You wrote for Annette, exactly.
I did. But I'm not a great lyricist, but you learn by doing, for sure.
How did you learn the skill? Like when you decided, to do Feels Good to Me? Did you write prior to that? Like how did the composer
Yeah,
aspect?
there's always been a piano present
Okay.
since I was a kid, I think, and I've always wandered over to the piano and said, "Oh, that's what a flat 5 is. Oh, I see. The 13th goes there." And the 60 chords, and you can kind of figure out your way around them. And I spent some time learning how to do that around the mid 70s, and felt I had, some ideas that would just about hold up enough to give, again, to give Dave Stewart, to give Jeff Berlin, to give Allan. So mostly I wrote those records, although, Jeff Berlin would come up with Joe Frazier, Allan Holdsworth would come up with the Abingdon Chasp, so it wasn't a closed shop exactly. But I was able, I think, to control the overall feel of an album by perhaps selecting the right kind of Jeff Berlin song or the right kind of album that would fit into the overall thing. So I think One of a Kind is a sort of cohesive whole. There's nothing on there that shouldn't be on there.
Yeah.
I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. How was Allan like in the studio? Like, were the solos and stuff? I mean, he plays. They seem like so effortless. Like, how did the process in the studio with those songs go? And you guys playing that?
Well, you're going to ask me. Yeah, that's difficult to remember. Actually,
yeah, it's so.
Allan was never easy. You're always kind of hoping that Allan might get something down because, of course, I'm paying the bill or my record company's paying the money, which means that in the end I'm paying the money. And you're kind of hoping Allan can work fast. The great skill of the worker and studio musician, who we should not denigrate in any sense at all. That phrase "worker ant" we should be very careful with. This great skill of a studio musician is he knows when he's done his best. He knows when there is no more he can do on that song. And you must have been in the studio like I have been, twiddling your thumbs like this, hoping that the singer will get it right this time because, this has taken 2 days to do this vocal track, that kind of thing. And in jazz, as you know, you can't do that. We can't afford to do that.
Yep.
Allan was terrific, and he did his absolute best. Occasionally, there were times when he said, "I'm not going to play that. I can't play that."
Interesting.
For example, some comping behind in a certain style. I wanted some comping, and I had to get another guitar player. And John from Brand X came in to do some things. That Allan sort of said, "It's really not my style, not my thing. It's outside his range." And I said, "Okay, that's fine. We'll get another guitar player to do that."
Interesting.
But I think he probably redid some guitar solos, not dropping in and dropping out, but probably redid whole solos. And then I think in his later career, he made his own recording studio,
Yeah.
And would track himself endlessly, I think, to find that one thing that would make him happy.
Yeah.
So I don't think he liked being in my band very much because I think he found himself too boxed in.
Interesting.
He's more or less said that to me on several occasions. And I think he may be right. You know, I wasn't sure how much to be open with him and how much to say, oh, just play anything you want here. And I was a beginner at collaboration, not knowing that I had one of the best guitarists in the world in the studio with me. And you careful what you say, especially if you're a drummer.
No, interesting. Because it's when you listen to those records, it still sounds so cohesive and
It's stylistically one, isn't it?
yeah, it's like
I
you
mean,
said, everything is there because it has to be there, and also the
yeah.
solos and everything. It's like wow,
Yeah,
interesting.
I think that's true. You're looking. I'm sort of a big picture guy. In a way, I'm something of a conceptualist. You know, when is a record right? When it's finished? When is it done? You know, we don't want to be weather report. So how can we, even though we've got weather report's producer with us, excuse me, but we do want that same cohesion. You know, of heavy weather, for example, or something like
Yeah.
that, where everything again is there for a purpose and it says absolutely everything you need to know about the group.
Because like that group from this your early groups, it's interesting that there are no. I think there's just one live recording that's out there from Oxford, and the rest is with John Clark, the guitarist, right? I think he
Oh, you're
substituted.
talking about Allan Holdsworth?
Yeah.
Live albums from Allan Holdsworth with me?
With you, yeah.
True. There's no live material.
Because you guys played live, or you didn't with that group?
We did very little live.
Okay.
We had a wonderful French tour lined up. And Allan did the unforgivable thing, you know, all musicians they cannot do really, which is he gave me about 3 days notice and said, well, I'm not coming on the tour,
Oh, that's terrible.
which is really, you know, unforgivable. But he then did say that there is somebody else who could do it. And I said, you mean there's another guy who can be Allan Holdsworth? We just recorded One of a Kind, right? And we're ready to go on tour. And he said, well, funny enough, he's a student of mine. I've been giving him some, and this guy, John Clark, was available.
Interesting.
And at about 3 days' notice, he jumped in on the album and did the best he could, which was a valiant effort, but it wasn't Allan.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, we're then being a band leader and all these things that come, people canceling and dealing with promoters and musicians and
yeah. I mean, I took 12 years away from the instrument recently.
Yeah,
12,
I've read
12
about it.
13 years I was away from the instrument.
You actually did, you played zero or you played
Zero. I played nothing at all.
Really?
For 13 years. Isn't that amazing?
I mean, in a way, I understand you actually, because I get sick of carrying my 27-kilo amplifier. I'm still in my late 40s, but
yeah. And I was just, you know, I was what they would probably call burnt out. You know, I didn't have a manager, and so you know, I'm booking airline tickets and hotels and stuff, and it's just too much to do. You know, a one-nighter in Madrid, which could pay quite well. Nothing wrong with that, except that you know that it's killing work. And I don't mean the work of the music. I mean the work to get there, to get musicians to agree to do it, to make sure they turn up sober and the rest of it. You know.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I just need to get away from it, and then a whole series of circumstances made it possible for me to return. I think you know, and now I'm much happier and much more better adjusted. I think.
To have the love, right? To go on the road also, because it's not easy. I think every musician, younger musician, should know that. You know, if you go on the road for 3 weeks, it's fun, but it's also like
it's hard work, and of course your life is chaos when you get back.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly. How do you stay creative? Like, let's say gig 13 on on the road, right? I mean, my longest tour was like compared to your long tours, probably nothing. I had 17 gigs in a row.
Wow.
And that's nothing compared to, you guys. Like, but how do you stay fresh after so many gigs? Like,
By making sure we don't play too much,
okay,
which is the key to it. And after 17, if you're being asked to improvise over 17 days, of course, the quality will go down. It's almost impossible to stop your
mm,
brain repeating things that worked well last Thursday, so maybe I'll try that again today. And because I'm tired, I've just done 16 gigs in a row. So on the 17th, I'll do what I did on the 9th. And to avoid that just means don't do 17 gigs. We tend to go for a week. That's
smart.
one day fly out, 4 or 5 shows, and then come back. And then there's more writing. There's a continual kind of writing going on, and a continual lot of practicing. We meet just to play without any compositions that are halfway on being written. We meet just to play, so we can find some other sounds,
Yeah,
other combinations of sound. Actually, it's combinations of sound that's so important.
yeah.
Um, so that keeps us pretty fresh, I think. Mind you, we've only been doing it for a couple of years, so we'll see how it progresses.
Yeah, because you've done like really long tours, right? In the 70s. I mean, that went on.
Yeah, I mean, 9 weeks
Oh, Christ, man.
was,
That's, that's a lot.
sometimes I raise that in front of my wife and she looks at me like, if you ever do that again, I'll kill you. That sort of look.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's crazy, man. Yeah. I mean, Bill, I just wanted to ask you some other thing about the Gordian Knot project. Uh,
Ooh,
and, I've been, Sean Malone was such a great bass player, and I don't think he's talked about enough. I'll put it like that. How did you get involved in that one? Because let's talk about complex music and like, wow.
again, I can't really remember. There have been sessions that come and go.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do a session for somebody like Sean Malone, who you don't really know. You do the session, and then everybody 10 years later says, God, what was it like working with Sean Malone? I don't know.
Okay.
It's just a guy, And he was very clear and what he wanted, and it was very straightforward. He had the music well prepared. In fact, it may have been recorded with a machine or something.
Okay.
Would I replace the machine? Something like that. I think that I'm sometimes called to do that. It's uncanny, how you can take a drum machine out of a track. And when the human drummer comes in, suddenly the track all breathes. And there's sort
Yeah,
of air in
it's
the
alive. Yeah.
cymbals and stuff. It's lovely. Sometimes not so good, but so I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I can't
Oh,
really
sure.
remember. It was
Yeah.
only a couple of days' work somewhere,
Hmm.
and quite how he must have come to me because I didn't know him.
Yeah. Now, just dealing with really complex music, I think how you dealt with those situations, that's was
Yeah, yeah. I was quite a quick study in my
yeah.
day. Progressive rock background, I could sort of find my way around things. I'm not a great sight reader, but again, if it's written, I can have a fairly clear sense of where this music should go or how I could approach it.
Yeah.
Um, so that went okay. I have a sprinkling of session work that goes on occasionally, and
Hmm.
um, I always take the gigs if I can because I'm not very good at that. So I'd like to get better at it.
Just one last question, Bill. I wanted to ask you when you started to play drums again after 12 years, what was that magic moment that's told you like, okay, shit, I want to do that again after.
Well, it was, like sometimes they say for a disaster to happen, you have to have a meeting of about 7 issues. The plane was running out of fuel, the plane's undercarriage didn't work, the steward was asleep, the pilot had turned the computer off, and then you get the terrible accident. I think it all can work the opposite way. I think, I was not in a place where I could play at all for all kinds of psychological reasons. But this fell into place. This guy appeared. This series of concerts became possible. It became possible to be perhaps a featured artist in a band rather than a band leader. I
Yeah.
don't want to be a band leader. I've done that. I've led bands forever. It's exhausting work. Now, Pete Roth is the band leader. He can choose the repertoire. He can tell me what to play if he wants, but it's not going to get very far with that. But but we collaborate, of course,
Of course, yeah.
on many things. From where are we going to play? In a way, I do strategy. Let's play here at this time and there at that time. He does kind of logistics and detail, very good with plane tickets and backline and guitar amps. And funny enough, I think these days in groups, most group musicians need to bring a series of off-instrument skills as much as they bring on-instrument skills. So I'm sure your guitar playing, your fingering and so forth is absolutely delightful. But if you can't do anything apart from that, and you don't even perform very well, then I'm not sure you're my man. You know what I mean? It's not
Absolutely,
just
yeah.
it's just not just the notes.
Yeah.
Where was I going with that? I was going to say, I can't remember.
No, it's okay.
But
Are you still planning to do like a project like Earthworks under your own name? You think, or
no, I have
not
no
really?
inclination to do anything under
Okay.
my own name at all.
Yeah, yeah. I
I'm
hear you.
very happy where I am,
I
but
hear you.
stuff changes. Stuff changes.
Yeah.
I was asked to join Beat. I think it's the one with Steve Vai and King Crimson and
Mm-hmm.
Adrian Belew and Tony Levin, and I decided I couldn't do that. That was too much back in the rock
It's a
repetition world,
big one again, kind of.
Yeah,
It's a big one.
I don't need the money, so I don't see this. It's not necessary for me to do that,
Yeah, yeah.
and I don't need the glory. I don't need the fame. I don't need any kind of recognition. I'm not interested in any of that stuff at all.
Yeah.
Because I've been fortunate enough to have that without trying very hard. I didn't pursue it particularly, but I'm very lucky in that, I grew up at a certain time and people like me could get recording contracts, and I could call Allan Holdsworth and say, I'm making a record, will you play on it? That kind of thing. So I've been a very lucky guy without seemingly having to stoop to conquer, having to diminish myself in order to make myself popular in some way. It's never.
Yeah.
So I'm a very fortunate guy, I think, in that respect. But no, I can't do long rock tours anymore. I'm not interested.
I hear you.
I'm not a young man anymore.
No. But I, I'm quite younger than you, but I hear you. Like, if I get a gig offer, sometimes I'm like, oh shit, I want to stay home with my daughter, actually, or
Yeah.
just
Sure.
it's exhausting, some of these things. So yeah, absolutely understand you. So,
Mm.
Bill, what are the plans for this year with Pete's trio? Are you guys
Well,
coming to Central Europe as well, or somewhere across from Slovenia?
sure, we've got. Hold on, I'm just looking at a date sheet here. We've got all kinds of things. Do you know what Cruise to the Edge is?
No,
No, it's a ship where a lot of progressive rock bands go on a ship.
really, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Wow, sounds interesting.
And they take over the ship and it becomes, this is like a jazz cruise,
Okay, yeah.
but for progressive rock guys.
Oh.
And the band I'm in is very much between jazz and, sometimes there's even a developing kind of subgenre called progressive jazz, I think,
Mm.
which you see written about a fair bit these days. We're going to Tallinn in Estonia. We're going to Canada, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Quebec.
Wow, really? Oh man, okay.
We've got lots of, in between these things, we have England, with Luton, Wolverhampton, Milton Keynes. We've got Romanian festivals in the summer.
Oh.
We've got an Italian trip in the summer. Festivals in Caccina, Corinaldo,
Beautiful.
Bitonto, and Sibari, London. And then we have a German trip in October, followed by a Central European trip. Central European, which is more Czech Republic, I think, and maybe Hungary. I'm not sure. Maybe Slovakia, who knows?
Try to catch you guys, yeah, if you're near, definitely.
Yeah. And then we wrap up in November with another Italian trip.
Beautiful.
So yeah, there's plenty going on. Plenty.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Super.
And importantly, there's not too much going on.
Yes. I hear you, man.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Bill, I'll leave you a nice morning,
Okay, Samo.
and
Nice to
thanks so
meet
much for
you.
sharing some of these thoughts, man. I appreciate it.